This presentation is being provided by the National Leiomyosarcoma Foundation in support of patients newly diagnosed with leiomyosarcoma and also to aid their family members and caregivers. My name is Mitch Ashe. I'm a diagnostic radiologist and a member of the National Leiomyosarcoma Board of Directors. I'm also the chairman of the Medical Advisory Committee of the Foundation. I encourage you to learn as much as possible about leiomyosarcoma and the treatment options available to you for this disease. It's crucial that you become an active participant and an effective member of your oncology care team. There's no doubt in my mind that by doing so, your treatment will be more effective. It is important to know what types of questions to ask of your treatment team at the various stages of your treatment journey, and also to develop a survivorship care plan at the completion of your treatment. Our foundation offers a very informative website for patients, assistance and resource support, and also for support of caregivers. Questions to ask are listed in the Navigating the Treatment Journey page of our website. Please visit www.nlmsf.org to access this information and other useful information for you and your family. Following me in this presentation are two patients who are long-term LMS survivors who wish to share their guidance and supportive comments with you. Lastly, a licensed social worker will speak to the important role of the caregiver in the patient's treatment and survivorship. It's important to note that the caregivers are crucial to this, to your journey through treatment with leiomyosarcoma. I hope that you will find this to have been a valuable and helpful introduction as you progress through your treatment journey. The Foundation is always here to support you and your family, and do not hesitate to contact us whenever you need to. Also, I want to mention one other point. It's important as you're going through your treatment process to keep accurate records, and I encourage you to keep personal records of all of your scans, other reports, lab reports, any notes that you may take when you go to your treatment sessions with your oncologist. It's important to note that what we created, my wife created for me, and it is available for you at no cost if you want, through our foundation, a patient appointment journal, which has the tab so you can keep separate all of the different reports that you may obtain. And I also want to mention that it's very important that someone go with you to your appointment. You're going to be anxious and nervous and sometimes afraid, and it's hard to focus on what your physician may be telling you. So it's nice to have another person there as a second set of ears, but also to be able to journal what information, take notes about what's being said, so you can review them later after your appointment. Again, I thank you for listening to my part of this presentation. I hope you will enjoy the rest of the presentation as well.
Hi, my name is Marge. I was diagnosed with uterine leiomyosarcoma in November of 1992 after a hysterectomy. I was treated with 6 weeks of pelvic radiation and 2 high-dose implant treatments. It was scary when the treatments ended. No one was checking on me every day. I kind of felt alone. But as the days passed and I felt more confident and I started to feel better, but how can I feel so good and have cancer? However, in February of 1995, the cancer came back on my bladder. I underwent 12 hours of surgery, a pelvic exoneration. My bladder, some of my bowel, and anywhere the tumor touched was removed. Since then, I have been NED, no evidence of disease. It was very scary for the first time I heard the word leiomyosarcoma, or sometimes referred to it as LMS. I asked the nurse to write it down for me. I went to the library for info. They had extremely little, a mere mention. It wasn't really helpful. The internet really wasn't readily available yet, so I called the National Cancer Institute. They sent me 1.5 pages of double-spaced typing. And there wasn't really a lot of information there, and it wasn't very positive. Fortunately, I lived about an hour from Fox Chase Cancer Center. I made an appointment and felt more confident. They knew leiomyosarcoma and a plan for me. Learn to be your own advocate. Learn as much as you can. Research treatments. Learn about them. It really helps if you have some idea what a doctor is talking about. If you don't understand, ask. There's a lot of information on the internet. Make sure it's true. Just educate yourself. In the past 23 years, I have had some health issues, but nothing like cancer. I have been blessed to lead a full and active life. I go to the gym several times a week. I do line dancing a couple times a week, which I really enjoy. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I really enjoy it. We had no grandchildren when LMS came into our lives. Our daughters were married, our son was in college. We had just learned that my cancer had returned when my son was getting married. We waited till after the wedding to have my surgery. By the following Christmas, we had 3 grandchildren, and to date we've been extremely blessed with 12 grandchildren and 1 great-granddaughter. As tempting as it may be for you to stay at your local hospital, especially if you like your doctor, please go to a cancer center, preferably one with a sarcoma doctor. Keep a positive attitude. Be diligent with checkups, doctor's visits, and especially your scans. Try to get copies of everything so you have them for your own records. Don't hesitate to ask. Attend support groups, preferably a positive and informative one. It's extremely helpful to have a strong support system. Family, friends, even acquaintances are a great starting point. Don't be afraid to accept help if you need it, but don't abuse it. Don't hesitate to ask people to pray for you. I had a strong support system. I was on prayer lists all over the country. I firmly believe those prayers helped me keep my positive attitude. The attitude helped me keep my faith strong and to help with us to deal with whatever was in store. My prayers are for you and all cancer patients that we find a cure for this dreaded disease, and each cancer patient learns to be their own advocate and gets the treatment best for them. Take care, and God bless you.
Hi, I'm Kathy, and I was diagnosed with leiomyosarcoma, also known as LMS, of the nasal cavity. Yep, the nasal cavity. I was very lucky in that I had 2 major surgeries, but none of which left my face disfigured because they were all able to be done through my nose. I also had 7 weeks of radiation. Now I'm still on the every 3-month scan protocol, hoping, to make it a lot further. So far, so good. I'm going to be glancing at some notes that I made, so please excuse that, but I want to make sure I get all the information out to you that I'm hoping to. You are very likely like me in that you were scared to death when you were first diagnosed. Also, you may be like me in that you'd never heard of LMS before. I certainly hadn't, and I'm a nurse. But, of course, I went immediately and did a Google search and was terrified at the potentially grim prognosis. Fortunately, I have a very supportive group of friends and family, many of whom are very medically knowledgeable, and they help me find the right treatment path. There are some excellent resources out there to help you, one of which, of course, is the National Leiomyosarcoma Foundation. So once I found these resources and started realizing what I needed to do, I took my first step of being seen at a sarcoma center of excellence. I think that's so important because many physicians have never had a patient with LMS before, even some oncologists. And if you don't live in a town or a city that has a sarcoma center of excellence, you can go to one of the big sarcoma centers and they can coordinate your care and sort of direct your treatment plan with your local oncologist. So it's not impossible to get that excellent care even if you live a long way from such a center. Make sure you write your questions down before your appointment. It's so easy to forget some of the things you really want to know or get some of your concerns answered. It's also really important to take somebody with you to your appointments. As I said before, I'm a nurse, but I always take somebody with me because I get nervous, I don't remember everything clearly, and I make sure that my support person writes down all of the answers to my questions. Or sometimes your support person has good questions to ask as well that maybe you didn't think of. Keep a notebook. Make sure you keep records of all of your test results. You can get those and keep up with your lab results, all of your scans, any reports that you have. Because if you're seen at more than one place of care, believe me, they're not going to keep up with all of it between the different centers. So it's really important and critical that you do that and you get test results of everything. Above all, stay informed so that you gain knowledge about LMS. That's critical. The more you know, the better you can make sure you're getting the best treatment possible. Join some of the LMS Facebook groups. The National Leiomyosarcoma Foundation has a wonderful Facebook group. They also have great websites. Keep your eyes and ears open for LMS or sarcoma conferences. They do pop up several times in a year, probably in different places around the country, and you may be able to attend one of those. Find a support group if possible. I'm lucky enough where there is an informal LMS support group in the city where I live, not sponsored by any organization, just started by two patients who happened to meet in an oncology waiting room and thought, gosh, there must be other people out there with this diagnosis somewhere. And so there are about 7 of us that try to meet once a month, and it's been a tremendous source of support to meet other people that have LMS. Maybe they don't have it in the nose like I do, but they have it in all the different other places. But just to get that support from other LMS patients, it's so helpful. And I think one of the most helpful things to me has been meeting some of the long-term survivors. They are out there, and it really does give you hope to meet them and find out what their journey has been. I will say that my most difficult time is at night when I'm in bed because my thoughts start to churn. Sometimes my thoughts go to dark places that aren't really helpful to dwell on, but I just can't get to sleep and my thoughts just churn and churn and churn. One of the things that has helped me is I found a meditation app. It's free and it's called Cancer Care. And they have a variety of short meditations on cancer, and they have a whole section on sleep. And sometimes at night, I'll turn that on, put my earbuds in so my husband isn't awake, doesn't get woken up, and I'll listen to one of the 5-minute sleep meditations. And that's been helpful to me. But, you know, I'm sure there's other techniques out there for people who have that same problem. I've always been an optimistic person, but I've had some difficulty with that since my diagnosis. But I finally decided that every day I would consciously choose happiness. And I really do think about that choice every day, and choose happiness is now my motto. So it's helped me stay positive and happy and be what I hope is a fun person that I've always been around my friends and family. And I just want to give you best wishes and give you all the good luck possible. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lauren Fisher, a licensed clinical psychologist in Northern Virginia. I feel honored to be able to provide a few words of guidance to you, caregivers of individuals who have been recently diagnosed with cancer. I feel honored for the opportunity, not only from a professional perspective, but from a personal perspective. I too have gone through the journey of caretaking for a loved one with cancer. And if you're anything like me, you found yourself in a role you didn't think you would be in. So therefore, I'd really like to share with you a few guiding principles that I think might be helpful for you during this journey, for you, but more importantly, or just as importantly, for your loved one. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm a big proponent of mindfulness, right? So checking in with what we're feeling, thinking, and experiencing at any time, so we can be able to be more conscious about our choices and our decisions. So I think the first thing I'd like to ask you is, as you tune into your experience and where you're finding yourself, and I'm sure you're experiencing a whole lot of different emotions and things of that nature, but I want you to ask yourself the question, how do I want to show up for my loved one? What does that mean? If I were to ask you 5, 10 years, 15 years later, and I said, hey, how did you show up as a caregiver? What would you want to be able to say? And I want you to get clear about that. I want you to really figure out the role that you would like to play. Is that going to be a person who's supportive, loving, an advocate, strong, honest? Whatever it may be for you, I'd really like you to define that now. When we define the role in which we would like to aspire or play to, then we're much more likely to be conscious about our decisions, our thoughts, our words, our behaviors, and we can check in and say, are we moving toward that, or are we moving away from that? And there's gonna be a lot of times you're not moving toward that, because you're going to find yourself feeling emotions or being human or whatever it may be, and that's okay. You're not supposed to be perfect, but if we visualize and intend a certain way, chances are our energy and our actions are going to flow that way. Okay. Secondly, I want you to really think about communication. You've probably heard a million times that communication is key, but it really is. And quite honestly, life is just a lot easier if we're communicating directly. So I want you really to think about checking in with your significant other, your loved one, to say, what is it that you need? What do you need from me? How can I help? How can I support you? Sometimes we're fixers and we think we know what they need, or we want to tell them what to do, but that's not always what people need. They may need that, and that's fine if they say that, but figure out what it is that they need. Keep that communication open. Keep your communication open with other people if you need to debrief, talk, whatever, also add in just communication with medical providers. I think a big role is finding yourself in a role of advocacy, being really in tune to what's happening throughout this process. And you're probably going to be learning a lot. Grab a notepad, write everything down, and know everything. It may be overwhelming, but I think more and more we figure out that there are more options out there that aren't always presented. So I want you to be able to ask questions, find out what your options are, find out what your loved one's preferences are. So if there are times in which they're not able to advocate for themselves, you are very clear about what they want and what they need. And also, at the end of the day, just trust your gut. If something doesn't feel right, speak up. Find out what your rights are, what your loved one's rights are. Okay. Lastly, I think a big guiding principle would be just to be the best support you can be. I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever been sick or injured or in a scary situation, what is the type of person you want around you? Do you want a nervous Nelly? Do you want someone who's more scared than you? Do you want someone who's distant? Nah, not me. I actually feel a lot calmer when I have someone who's calm, positive, loving, and supportive. So I really want you to figure out how you can get into that role. And that might require you doing things that you've never done before. That also might require you checking in about your self-care when you're burnt out, noticing what you need when you need breaks, what is gonna replenish your resources so you're able to be in that role for this person. You know, I'm going to spare you going through research and stats, but there is no doubt that, you know, positivity, support, love, compassion has a profound effect on people's emotional and physical well-being. So know that you can make a difference at any point for your loved one while she or he are going through this journey. And the last but not least, believe in possibility. You know what? The human body, mind is fascinating. I'm not saying, you know, be, what do they call, Pollyanna, but you can be realistic, but also be optimistic and hopeful and, you know, just open to that anything can happen. So I want you to keep that in mind. And remember, you don't need to be perfect through this process, but keep some of these big things in mind. Remembering how you want to show up, being able to communicate clearly, and then figuring out how to be the best support. Okay? Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.